So Joey Spencer, thank you for coming on the program. We appreciate your time, brother. How are you?
Really good. Yeah, really good. Just getting ready for this fight in July 31st, and everything's going well. I'm good. I'm real good.
So to be clear, you're on the Mike Coffie, Washington card in the Prudential Center?
Yes, I am. New Jersey, Newark, New Jersey. Yep.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, that's my hometown, my stomping
Oh,
grounds,
wow,
man. Born and
awesome.
raised in Newark, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's awesome to have you on that card and strengthen it out. You know, I'm a big fan of Mike Coffie, and you know, he's getting this opportunity now to main event, and you know, having you on the undercard, a guy that's been on television, you're definitely strengthening it by doing so.
Thank you.
So, do you know who you're facing?
Yeah,
Dan Karpency?
A guy named Dan Karpency. You guys
wow!
might be familiar with his brother. Yeah,
definitely.
His brother. Yeah,
Oh,
he comes from a
snap.
fighting family.
You're fighting a Karpency. You know they're upset minded. Tommy upset somebody in his career before, man.
Yeah,
gotta be careful.
Chad Dawson. He beat Chad Dawson.
Yeah,
and,
man.
So I'm familiar with the family, and he's tough. I've been watching this film, and he's got that same toughness that they have that they all brought to the ring, and he definitely comes to win. I see him. He's never been stopped, and he's had a few losses. He's had about 13 wins and 3 losses, but he's never been stopped. And I've watched him. He's never been stopped, and I've watching the film that I've watched. I've seen him eat some shots and keep coming, keep fighting.
Yep.
He's got grit to him. So
yeah,
he tries to fight and he tries to win. He is, I'm sure, coming with everything. So, but I am too. So I'm ready.
That's the book on the Karpencies, right? Like they're guys that are tough. They're there. But I love the fact that here's the thing, right? You're still like, you know, you haven't reached that level to like championship yet, right? But it's like I've been watching you for so long. Like I saw you debut, so it feels like you're not 21. Like it feels like you're older than that, not because you look older or anything like that, but because I've been watching you for so long. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. That's part of it. I mean, people forget that I turned pro when I was 17, and it just gives you, and it's just like kind of the new age. A lot of guys are doing that instead of going longer in the amateurs, and so I've been growing in the pros, and I'm starting to feel that my age in my maturity, even in my body, and just the difference. Just it's amazing. You know, I come into the pros when I was 17, and you don't realize how much your body is going to change, how much of a disadvantage physically you are at that point. Skills, you know, when us young guys come into the game out of the amateurs with such an extensive, amateur backgrounds, the skills are always usually in our favor against a lot of these guys that we're in there with. But I didn't really realize how much of a disadvantage or an advantage it is to those guys who are 26, 27, 30, 35 years old until just every single year. My sparring is just completely different now. I mean, just feeling physically, I'm 21. I know it's not finished yet, but my power is at a different point now. So that gives me a lot of confidence. Just knowing I'm 21, I'll be 23, I'll be 24, 25. I'm not even finished. So that's definitely a good feeling.
Would you say that you would you recommend, like, okay, so you did this, you know, the route where you turned pro as a 17-year-old, right? And we have, you know, Canelo and a handful of others that have gone that route. Would you recommend that to like a young fighter? Let's say you meet a 12-year-old and he comes up to you and he's like, "Oh man, Joey, I'm a huge fan." Would you tell him, "Yo, you know, this is the better route. If you want to be a pro, if you want a career in this game, this is the route to go"? Or do you think that it's different for everybody else?
You know, I would have always said that, but it's hard. It just depends, to each his own, because some people, the amateur route is the best route. Some people turning pro is the best route. But all I know is I've seen a handful of very good prospects lose this year. A handful of them. And,
good point.
You just never know. You know what I mean? It's just I had a tough fight when I was newly 18 against Akeem Black, and that one almost didn't go in my favor. And a lot of guys aren't coming through those tests that they're having, and they're losing. And
great point.
And that's the reason. It's not out of skills. It's out of, first of all, the pros are a completely different game than the amateurs. It's a completely different preparation. It's a completely different weight cut. Everything is different. And then, like I said, we're at a physical disadvantage when it comes to getting in that ring with grown men. So the matchmaking has to be so perfect if you're going to go that route. And it just depends. So when COVID hit, the reason why we're seeing all these prospects lose is because COVID hit. There's no more fans. Promoters are running on some tight budgets. Yes, and they're like, we don't have time to build you on these TV and, Dazn cards, and where you're getting streaming spots, you're getting, televised spots. We don't have time to build you. You got to show us something. And as a result, these guys are losing. That's what's happening.
You're right.
Let me slide in here a Patreon question from our loyal listeners. We got David Maldonado in New York City says, "What's up, champ? How would a Tank fight versus Teofimo play out, in your opinion?"
Oh man, Teofimo is one of my favorites in the game right now. But nobody, I don't think, in that that circle of fighters, I don't think beats Tank right now. I think Tank is on another level at this point. He's getting to that point where he was the young, really talented fighter. Now he's becoming the veteran in that whole circle. And not only that, but he's still young and talented. But as far as in comparison to those guys, he's starting to get to the point where his experience, his strength, he's 26, he's in his prime, he's, all that's coming together at the perfect point. And that's I think going to be a hard man to beat in that division right now. Now in a few years, maybe it'll be a different story, but I think Tank beats everybody in that division that he fights. Not saying that it'll all be like he'll run through everybody in the division. I wouldn't pick against him right now.
It was good, Spencer. I would love to ask you this. Mayweather recently was alluding that legacy kids don't eat legacy, right? Mm-hmm. Alluding to that, money, you got to watch out for your purse and things of that nature. You got to watch out for money. Yeah. For you, what is important? Is it money or is it legacy? What's your approach?
Well, obviously I've got a family to feed, and I've got people I've got to take care of, but the difference is we don't need much, and we're not trying to. It might be a weird thing for me to say. I don't think many people talk like this, but I'm not necessarily even trying to get rich. I just am trying to make a living, and I love this game, and I'm trying to have some great fights. This is what I love to do. So I don't have that mindset. Now, am I going to work for free or get cheated? No, but at the same time, that whole mindset, it's just not for me. It's just not for me. I'm a simple guy. I already make enough to have everything in the world that I need and my family needs. That's just the way it is. So from here up is just a bonus. So at that point, that frees me up to fight anybody, anytime. Amen. And at the same time, we're going to be smart about it, because I'm going to leave this with my marbles. But that's what comes back to what I said about being young. And when I hit a certain point where I'm 23, 24, you're going to see me be willing. I'll fight anybody, anywhere, anytime. And I'm excited about that. And I can't, it's one thing to say it, but actually doing it is a different story. And when I get to that point, I'm excited to prove that. And not just prove it, but that's just what I want to do. It's not really even about anybody else. I want to do that. And I'm not trying to fight and milk and get as much money out of this sport as I can, and stay in the game till I'm 35. I'm trying to retire by the time I'm like 30 years old. I started this when I was, I started boxing when I was 6. So I want to get as many big fights as I can in before that time. And you're not gonna have to squeeze me too much to get me in there. So that's my mindset on it.
Sliding one in here, we got James Valdez, San Antonio, Texas, says Bud Crawford versus Errol Spence Jr. Who wins and how?
That's a tough one, man. That's a real tough one. That's a hard one to even predict for me, but I'm going to go with Spence, because Spence I feel like they're both A-level fighters, and Spence has got the size advantage and the physicality advantage on him, just being more natural and he's more. I've been around him. I feel like he's more of a natural. Like I feel like he could fight at 154 no problem and be fitting completely fine as far as size. He's a very big 147. I've also been around Crawford, and I just think that as far as that goes, they're both a plus fighters in the game right now, and he's got the size advantage. So with that being said, being such a tough call, then I'm going to lean towards Arrow.
You guys jumping in?
Yeah, I actually wanted to follow up real quick. You don't have to like go into this if you don't want to, but the modesty of your or the willingness to live modest from boxing, is that how you were raised, or is that like a philosophy that you've developed on your own? Like, because you don't hear fighters at any level, say that, and I'm just kind of wondering where that comes from.
Where it comes from, there's definitely a time period where I wanted a lot more. There was definitely a time period where I wanted probably what everybody else wants, and hundreds of millions of dollars and Floyd's route and stuff like that. But I'd say that comes from my faith, really, just being grounded in my faith, and I'm God-fearing, and I feel like when you have too much, it's easy to lose yourself. And I like to be comfortable, but I definitely just don't want to worship things or be trying to get my happiness out of those things. I'm very happy in a very simple lifestyle. And I think that's one of the keys to happiness. So, and keys to joy is not going after the things of the world.
Man, that you don't sound like a 21-year-old, brother.
What are you, Christian?
Wise 9 years.
Yes, sir. Yes, Christian.
Yeah. My parents were raised Christian Pentecostal, so I hear it in some of the words you're using. We got Coach Myers in Connecticut that says, "What's up, champ? I see you're listed as a middleweight. I thought you was at 154, but at 160, I think a fight like James Kirkland would be a good name and a good win after your next fight. What are your thoughts?"
Yeah, so this is a good question. So my last fight was at 160. I fought a pretty big 160-pounder, too. Like, he was a filled-out dude. And I can fit in there if I decide to. I'm pretty stocky. So if I need to only cut down to 160, I'm gonna look pretty natural there. But I'm cutting down to 154 for this fight, and I'm really just bouncing back and forth until I really figure out what I want to do. Because, like we're talking about, I'm growing so much, and in a situation like that, it'd be like if someone called me and said that they had a James Kirkland fight for me at 160. Then in matchups like that, I wouldn't shy away from that, and until I really decide which division that I'm going to make a title run for and maintain. So, I can fight 160. I fought 154, and we're just really just seeing where it goes. And but I've got my eye on the 154-pound division. That's what I want. I want that division to be the one that I stick at. I actually just kind of started to make that decision watching some of the fights over the weekend with Lubin, and Charlo's got a fight this weekend. I've definitely got my eyes on that division first and foremost, I think.
Oh, you see that it's opening up. It's going to open up if Jamel Charlo, Brackestein gets the undisputed. I believe Jamel Charlo is going to win that fight, but you see that the 154 is going to open up, and it's going to be a better chance for you to shine, you feel?
Well, I just think that, first of all, I think Charlo is going to move up. I always kind of, whenever anybody asked me over the years who I had my eyes on, I wasn't, I wouldn't talk before my turn, I should say. I knew that Charlo was going to move up, like me saying, like, I want the belt. Like, it's not my time yet. I'm 18, 19. And I knew that he was going to be moving up. And then sure enough, right before I get there, I feel like he's eventually going to move up. He's going to have nothing else to do here. And he's about to get undisputed. And then I'm sure I heard some interviews saying that he's going to move up to 160. And so I heard him saying that. And that's not necessarily why I have my sights on the division, but looking at everybody in the division, I really just feel like I can be the boss of it. I feel like I can, I'm coming into that time where I'm going to start to, within the next 4-5 fights, gonna start calling my shots and calling some people out. I got my eyes on the whole division. I just really feel like I'm definitely underestimated. I definitely don't. People don't realize what's coming. I haven't shown my full potential in the ring yet, and it's going to take somebody to bring it out of me. But me knowing what I can do when I look at guys like that Lubin fought, when Lubin and Rosario fought, Harrison, I'm real cool with his guys here in Michigan, but I watch him fight. I watch who else? Even everybody, even Charlo. I feel like they all feel like I'm better than all of them. I feel like I can beat them. Now I feel like I've still got maturing to do in growing more in sport, some things to learn still, some experiences to have. But as far as me and my potential and what I know I can do, what I've seen myself do, I know I can beat these guys, and I'm excited. I see all the belts.
Shout out.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna go to Patreon. Go.
Oh, that was a good question, good answer. But and maybe you can't answer this, but David Benavidez just recently said that he would move to 160 for the Charlo fight, right?
Yeah.
And
Jamal Charlo.
For the Maul fight. So the thing is here is like, I guess what I'm trying to ask is like, when you're in the division that you're in and you are making a real run at a world title or maybe even unification, would you do that? Like, would you put yourself in a situation where you would move down to get like, a Pacquiao fight or something like major, or where you're going to stay and continue to, fight in that division?
Well, that just depends because like Benavidez has already won the WBC twice. Yeah. So he can move down and fight Charlo, and that just be a big fight. Yeah. And he's not really getting other fighters that really want to fight him right now. He's kind of in a stalemate division right now with Neil's got all the belts and he's about to fight. So it's like, yeah, I'll move down to fight Charlo. But if I hadn't won my first title yet, it would just depend on timing, because if I was close to winning that title, I wouldn't be wanting to move down. And then I would never move down further than 154 for anybody, because like I said, I can be a 160 eventually, and 154 is definitely my limit as far as weight cutting that I would be willing to do.
Thank you. That's what I was driving at. Yeah. Okay.
Man, we would think that moving up in weight, that's what they call, daring to be great. So now it's moving down in weight. Now it's backwards nowadays, huh?
Yeah, I mean for Benavidez, because Charlo said like, why would I move up? He doesn't have a belt, so Benavidez has to chase the champ.
Yeah, that's a good point, and it's true. But that's also just like, Benavidez's mindset is one that I look up to. I feel like it's lost in the game nowadays, and I really look up to that. Like he said, I think he said something along the lines of the money too. Just like these guys, like it's crazy. Like big fights aren't happening over the difference of 60-40 and 50-50.
Yep.
So what's that? Like an extra few $100,000 in their pocket. I don't need that. You know what I mean? So I'm good. So you won't have to worry about me. And that's an honest truth, honest fact. So if there's a fight on the table, we're not going to have to take it. You want 60%? Have it. You know what I mean? I know I'm taken care of. I'm good.
For sure. We got Brandon in Houston. Hi, Joey. Thanks for coming on, and good luck on the 31st. With two major fights being postponed due to COVID and the possibility of Wilder Fury being postponed due to COVID, do you consider not being vaccinated pre-fight in the same light as not making weight?
Not being vaccinated is in the same light. Oh, yeah. So that's a good question. I haven't really thought about that. And I was just kind of waiting, because even for this fight, I was wondering if it was going to be mandatory. I was just wondering how that was all gonna play out, if it was going to end up being mandatory to be vaccinated before these fights. Here's the thing, man. If I don't want to, we were talking about today, I don't want to miss my fight because I wasn't vaccinated. I got COVID. Like, that would be a messed up situation. I've got so much invested in these camps. I've been training I broke my hand, and I've been off. That's why I've been off for a good, 13. It's been probably like 16 weeks since my last, 16 weeks since my last fight or so. It's been a long time. And,
damn,
because I broke my hand. So now if I get COVID,
bro, that's crazy. 16 weeks and you coming back to a Karpency?
Yeah.
You fought January 30th, so it's been about half a year.
Yeah, it's been a long time. It's been a long time, and I was riding so much momentum in that fight. As far as my camp was incredible for that fight, and then I just never stopped training. That's what the thing though is this fight. I don't waste any time, and after I broke my hand, I trained like a maniac for the whole time. Didn't take any time off. Came right into the camp, basically ready to rock. And so now I'm basically just cruising to the fight, trying not to do too much because I came into camp in such good shape. So I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
That was one of my favorite things about you. You started off like a gun. It was like 5 fights a year, and then 4 fights a year, and then obviously COVID hit. That derailed it. But
down a little bit.
Definitely.
But I'm finding the gains. I'm seeing the gains in the time off. I'm actually realizing that fighting, and everyone's different, and fighting all that time basically meant I was in training camp all year round, cutting weight all year round, but I'm seeing huge gains because I never take time off from the gym. And when I get in a relaxed period of time where I'm not up against a fight, I'm not up against I'm not fighting a right-handed or a southpaw, so I have to focus so much on specifically something that I have coming up. So I I'm in the lab and get better all around, and that's where I'm seeing insane, really, really good gains and as far as my boxing goes. So I've actually liked it. I've liked the slowdown period a little bit.
Awesome.
We got What Rep It that says, who are your top 5 pound for pound?
Oh man, that's a hard question. I actually gave a pound for pound list like a while back, and I realized that I didn't put Pacquiao on it, and that's I feel like Pacquiao's got to be on it. And so I would say, but I don't know exactly where. Probably so I would say my number 1, probably Crawford. This is straight off the hip, so if I'm missing somebody, don't judge me. But I'd probably say Crawford's my number 1. But man, I haven't seen him fight in forever. I gotta put Spence in the top 5. I don't know exactly where. Probably put Manny Pacquiao at 5. I'm just trying to piece this all together. Manny Pacquiao at 5. Some people in the higher
Canelo?
class. Oh yeah, man. Canelo's number 1, and then number 2.
You had Ness and Punch sweating over there.
Shiny head and stuff like that.
I just hated him or something.
I was waiting for him to say Crawford number 1. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah,
I was like, dang, you saw the video before you came.
I knew it was, I don't know how I forgot the number one guy in my opinion, but Canelo number 1. Say Crawford number 2.
What about a new one?
A new guy? Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. But
top 5?
Top 5, I don't know. I would definitely say that he'd be in my top 6 or 7, but I don't know top 5.
Did Tank break your top 10 pound for pound yet?
Maybe I think for me, probably top maybe just broke the top 10, but in order to really break into the top 10, I feel like I'd like to see him beat a top 140 pounder, and not that Barrios wasn't a top 140 pounder, but another one like Prograis or Regis. If he fought him and beat him, I feel like that would be a real big step, or somebody else at 140, and then it's okay, because that's and as far as pound for pound goes, weight classes mean a lot to me, because that's what it's all about, That's what pound for pound is all about. I feel like pound for pound has a lot to do with how many weight classes you jump, and being able to move up in weight and stuff like that, and take that test. I don't know if I finished.
Jump in.
What's that?
Somebody was jumping in? Okay. I got Young Tigre who says, what's your thoughts on Crawford not fighting top welterweights?
It's tough. It's like everything that we talk about at the beginning here. These companies are trying to keep everything in house, and I understand it, but I also just wish the game wasn't suffering the way it is, because the game, not that it doesn't still have a thriving fan base, but the fans need to be given the fights that are the real fights, the big fights that people want to see. Like, what's the point of being in the sport if the guys that everyone wants to see don't even fight? You know, like, I don't know, like, I don't want to be involved if that's the case. I don't want to be involved if I've got a guy over at Top Rank who says he's the man, and I say I'm the man. Then why aren't we fighting? If we don't fight, then we don't know who's the man. And as far as Crawford goes, I don't know what really causes that. I think that it can go both ways. Like, I think that if I was Crawford, I would have signed with Al Heyman when he had the chance, because he knows he would have gotten the fights at that point. They would have already fought probably, you know. And but it goes both ways. I mean, you don't know. It could have something to do with Spence, as far as Spence and him, but I don't really think so. But because all the top 147 pounders are with Al Heyman, and so that really screws him, because obviously Al and Bob don't work often together, and you kind of got to see that coming. I think that Crawford obviously gets the short end of the stick on that, because Spence is good, and everything that Spence says is true. As far as Spence does not need Crawford at this point. He can fight everybody and still have a Hall of Fame welterweight career. Not that I don't think Crawford is going to be a Hall of Famer, or he is. I'm just saying, as far as at the welterweight moment right now, Spence is good. He's got all the fights in the world. You know, he's going to fight Pacquiao, and he can fight Thurman. He's got names. And then after that, maybe he'll circle back around to Crawford, but Crawford's probably going to have to wait for a while.
We have two more for you, champ. Big Casual says, "What's up, champ? Do you think Jermell Charlo should be on the pound for pound list if he successfully?" He didn't put the word, but he said if he's successful against Castano.
Yeah, I think so. I think he probably should have been already. You know, he fought when he beat Rosario. Rosario had just knocked out J-Rock, got all the belts. He's knocked out Lubin. Lubin's proven what he can do now at this point. If he beats Castano, he definitely, I think, should be. I think he deserves it for sure.
Last one from Victor Banuelos, who says, "Who has a better resume, Gervonta Davis or Terrence Bud Crawford?"
That's a good question. That's a really good question.
Yo, the fact that you said it's a good question is because it's comparable, man.
Yeah.
Those resumes, I mean, one guy won more belts, but the names are comparable.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
I mean, he does have Brooke and Khan, but they were just so like, that it was like, it was so over for them.
Yep.
How about Victor Postal? How about a Gamboa? Come on.
No, but Gamboa,
I was gonna say, listen, I was gonna say Crawford, but
you could give him Postal.
Yeah, go ahead.
You could give him Postal, but then they got the common in Gamboa. They got the common opponent in Gamboa. And if you give him Postal, you got to give Tank credit for Pedraza. Postal, a one-time champ. For a vacant title, Pedraza, a two-time real champ.
That's a good point. And I was thinking the same thing. That's why it's hard.
Plus, he got Leo, four-time champ Leo.
Yeah, exactly. And
but at least he's going for varsity belts, not junior varsity.
That's true. And Khan's better than anybody that Tank's beaten. Let's be real.
I mean, what version of Khan though? Not that year that Crawford fought him.
I mean, I guess that's fair, but I mean, look what he was able to do with Canelo too. I mean, it's Khan is, no matter how you slice it, on paper he's best. He's better than anybody that Tank's beaten.
Joey, don't bite, man. He's just a very, very big Khan fan. He's,
a Khan realist. That's what we call ourselves.
I like Khan too, but I'm gonna go with Crawford. I think Crawford. I'm gonna give it because you got undisputed at what was it? 140 that he was undisputed?
Yep.
I feel like that kind of jumps you up. Undisputed is not. No matter what names you fought, obviously that's a big accomplishment, and when you get that, it's to be respected. Just like Charlo. If Charlo goes and wins this week, he hasn't fought any huge names, but if he gets undisputed this weekend or next weekend, then that's something to be respected. It's not an easy thing to do. He's the king of the division at that point, So I feel like that's I'm gonna have to give it to Crawford. It's hard, so I gotta choose one. And then I'm gonna give that to him.
Champ, that was the last question, but I sent you a DM. Can you check that video out? I'm going to go ahead and screen share it to our audience so we know what we're looking at here. And, I hate to do this, but you've had such a good conversation on this. Now, this is a secondary video of another fighter kind of doing the same manipulation with the gloves, and you had a very I guess adamant stance on gloves in the past. So I want to know what you think of Canelo Alvarez here and his little floppy gloves with these MX gloves that are allegedly, you know, horsehair, so they allow for more manipulation. I wonder, could he hear me?
Yeah, watching it right now. I can hear you.
Oh, perfect.
I know. I was like, uh-oh.
What if I got to repeat all that, right?
So in this video, it definitely. So here's the thing: if I let I've worn the MXs, and the MXs are very, very soft in the knuckle, and they're a puncher's glove. They're similar to the Reyes's. They're very soft. If I were to let my hand go completely lifeless, which a lot of times I will when I throw a jab, then it might look like that. And the reason why I say that is because I didn't see any footage there of him throwing hooks. Now, the reason I said that about Tyson Fury when I watched him do it is because he was literally hitting him. It was like he was hitting him with the palm of his hand, like from what it looked like in the glove. You could literally see him landing with that shot and specifically holding his hand away to land it that way, which made me think it was premeditated. I wasn't necessarily just saying it because the glove was floppy. The glove was floppy, and it was also seemed like it was hanging and low on his wrist. I don't know if I can tell the same thing in that video. And I haven't noticed it when he's doing when he's in other fights as well. But with a jab, I could see that happening, looking like that. But I couldn't really say because I didn't see him landing on that specific part of his hand that I saw Tyson landing with, and that's what made me so adamant about it. So it seemed very obvious to me, you know.
So right now, breaking news, Dan Rayfield is reporting that Tyson is the one that contracted COVID, and the fight is in fact off and postponed. Hopefully, you know, they get this fight back on and it's not going to be postponed. They're saying Fury only had one vaccination dose and not the second one, so I guess that meant his probability was higher that he could contract the disease or the virus. That being said, who are you picking when the fight does, and if it does ever happen? Have you changed on who you may be picking due to Wilder's new trainer, his training clips, or are you just like, you know, Fury got his number? Where are you with this fight?
I think regardless of anything I said in the past about the fight and about the glove situation, I just felt like that was obvious. I feel like people were trying to ignore it, and I felt like I had some insight on it that might have been unique. But I still think that Fury might know exactly how to beat Deontay Wilder, which is put him on his back foot. But with that being said, Wilder can always land that shot that he landed so many times in the past and could land it, and he's proven that he can knock anybody out with it. And I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for Wilder. I'm pulling for him all the way. I hope he wins. I want him to win, but I'm a little bit worried that Fury may have his number. But at the same time, Wilder can knock out any human being on the night, and so I know that's a possibility.
Let me ask you this: when people say about the back foot, because I'm one of those believers that I feel like that nobody would have thought to approach that Tyson Fury. That approach, not even his own fans would have thought that he was going to approach Deontay Wilder on the second fight like that. Yeah. So is it more that Deontay Wilder wasn't prepared? Was it a game plan thing? Because now I feel like Deontay Wilder knows that this guy is capable of outboxing him and outslugging him. So in the trilogy, now it's not that he can't fight off the back foot. Now he's prepared to fight off the back foot because he knows that Tyson Fury now has a style that, you know, he can mule him, use his weight, in which his team couldn't prepare for that. Nobody else could have seen that. So I do feel that Deontay Wilder has the athleticism to actually punch off the back foot if he's prepared for that. If you got the right game plan and he knows what's coming.
I definitely think he can. So here's the thing, and I agree with what you're saying to a degree, because I think that he can definitely do better off the back foot than he did in the first fight just by preparing for it. It's not that I don't think that he can punch off the back foot, because he landed some shots off the back foot in that first fight, so he's definitely athletic enough to do that. But where I'm coming from is I don't think he can defend off the back foot. And I think that that's not something that's extremely easy or takes a short amount of time to learn with what I saw in that first fight, because the holes that were there in the first fight were pretty drastic. And it takes a long time to learn something like that. And Wilder's never had to. And he started in the game extremely late. I think he can do better on that front for sure. But I think if he's going to win, he's got to command the center. And Fury's saying he's going to come into close to 300 pounds in this fight, and I'm concerned that maybe he won't be able to do that. But I think he's got to command the center, not let him push him back, and he's got to be able to open up shots differently, which is what I'm seeing when Malik is working with him on the pads, that he's working on opening up shots differently. Instead of just launching the right hand, he's working on opening up the shot. So I think that might, if there's a difference in the fight, I think that might be it, just finding shots better. And,
Malik doesn't believe that he'll come in 300 pounds. He says, Fury's a guy that's known to lie. That being said, we do got Kelly Pavlik coming on, so I want to give you this last late question from the fan that slid in. Adrian Rowan, he's in Wisconsin. He says, what was the hard part about Akeem Black fight? I know him personally, and I feel by gutting through that performance, you derailed his career.
Yeah, so the tough part about that fight was being naive, being young, being early on in the game. I brought it up at the beginning of this interview. I don't know if you guys remember, I was talking about just being just new. I was screwing up weight cuts big time, coming in way too heavy and losing the weight completely wrong, rehydrating completely wrong. There's just a lot I still needed to learn. I'd never even been the distance. So then when I had a guy like Akeem come in and be so tough and take my punches that I thought nobody would be taking at that stage, and that I'd had a certain amount of, a certain level of guys coming in and not taking the shots, I thought, I'm good. I'll just come in, and even though I was feeling like feeling real sick in the back because of the way that I ate after the weigh-in, and I was like, you know what? It'll be all good, though, because I'm going to come out. I'm going to knock him out. He won't be able to take my shots. Way overconfident, and I paid the price for it. He came through it. I panicked. Adrenaline set in, and my body kind of failed me in that fight. But the heart saved me. My body failed me, but my heart saved me. I was able to gut through it, like you said. I don't really know what Akeem's doing. He hasn't won since. I mean, we even talked about maybe doing it again if he were to win another fight. And he fought on PBC after that fight, and then he lost it, and he hasn't really been active since. So it just kind of fizzled out, and at this point, it just wouldn't even make sense. But I'm like super proud of that fight. Not proud of it, but I wouldn't change it for the world, because that fight gave me so much experience just about what I was doing wrong. I got a lot of stuff straight because of that fight. And I'm benefiting from that fight to this day, and even in my training and my, like I said, in my weight cutting and my rehydration, it made us get everything straight. It made us get a hold of experts. It made us bring people in that could help us with that. And now I'm thriving. So I really appreciated that. And honestly, looking back, like, I'm very thankful that Akeem brought what he did on that night, and it forced me to find something in myself. So it was good. It was a great fight.
Well, Joey, man, please give out your social media. We appreciate your time, man. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, man, let us know when we could get you back on after the fight to get the victory lap.
Take that victory lap.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys so much, and follow me on Instagram at Joey D. Spencer.
All right, brother, take it easy. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Up and coming prospect contender Joey Spencer.
Yo, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to hit the like, subscribe, and share. As always, if you want to support us to the next level, head over to the patreon.com/ThaBoxingVoice. We have tons of exclusive from Border Wars, Entitled, betting shows, the list goes on and on and on. But in addition to that, if you guys have questions for fighters, trainers, and promoters, this is where you can submit them. We will run out, get these questions answered, and put it back on the show just for you guys. Appreciate it. Peace.